we're all living in a distraction era. Someone lands on your photography website and they just give you their attention for a few seconds until their phone dings with a notification or they get lost on social media or something. People have learned to jump from one thing to another very quickly. And because of this distraction mode, I think that browsing habits everywhere have changed. People get confused very easily. If they notice any mistakes or problems on your website, they leave. If they take a second more to decipher what your website is all about, they leave. They don't have patience to sit through anything. Google is also trying to make sense of all these browsing habits and turning them into ranking factors. And this is all where user experience comes into play. It's about making the website as clear and user-friendly for people as possible. To start with, a topic I cannot overstate is to simplify your navigation menu. You can see some survey statistics, and I think that more than 80% of visitors leave a website just because it takes them too many clicks to get to what they wanted to find. They get lost, so they leave. That's bad, obviously. If you don't know how to improve the navigation menu on your website, the few guidelines you should know are placement. You should place it at the top of the website or on the left-hand side. If you choose any other location, you're asking for trouble, basically. And it's not just about that, it's about being consistent. So whatever location you do choose for the navigation menu, make sure it's always there. In the top example here, when you navigated to the blog section of that website, the whole menu changed, completely different menu items. So you got lost. You felt like it was a separate website and you didn't know how to navigate it anymore. Whereas the second example just nailed that because it's all consistent. And then finally, the number of menu items. This is a big pet peeve of mine. Those three examples basically just became dumping grounds of all the pages the photographer added over time to the website without taking anything out. And it's a nightmare. The words you use also matter in terms of familiarity, right? You can call it about or bio, but don't call it skills or experience or company info or anything like that. The same with contact, which usually stays at the end of the menu. It's okay to call it contact or contact us, but not get in touch or how to reach me or send a message. That extra half a second of confusion stops people from actually going there. Beyond the navigation menu, another good way to improve a website is just through a few typography improvements to increase the readability. So I know we're talking about photography websites and they're image heavy, but you do have text. You do have some intro text on the homepage or some blog posts or your services or your bio page. To make the typography better, if anyone were to follow just 3 simple guidelines, things would be better. Number 1 is to choose a good font face. So choose a font that kind of matches your logo for consistency and that's in tune with your website. Number 2 is to increase the font size and also to increase the line height so it's comfortable, the spacing between rows. If you nail those 3 things, you're in a better place. Of course, there are other things like you see in these 2 examples. I broke long, boring blocks of text into paragraphs. You can use headings or subheadings where appropriate to break the content. You can improve the font color, the spacing, alignments, all sorts of stuff. When it comes down to the user experience on a website, it comes down to content, and that's images. That's the bulk of your work, the heart of your work, which is your photography. And the big mistake here is that many photographers are just putting mediocre content in galleries because they're afraid to pick and choose. Content curation is a difficult skill and not many photographers master that. It's really important. If you have a portfolio gallery, just put your best work in there, 15, 20 images. Just aim to impress people and not to put too much. Or if you have a big stock archive, okay, group your galleries and collections, how it makes sense so people navigate your archive easier. Have you seen photography websites where they put closely related photos, like variations of the same photo next to each other, like the same photo in color and black and white? To me, it just sounds like the photographer couldn't make a decision of what's better, so why should I trust them? Sometimes it's really hard to improve your photography website because you're too close to your own work. You don't have the perspective. First-time visitors, so people landing on your homepage for the first time, they don't think like you. They've never seen your website. They behave differently. And here's what I think makes them different. Number one is their trust starts at zero, right? They never saw your work. They're skeptical. They don't know what you're capable of. They're not familiar with your website, how it's structured and all of that. And they have high expectations. Try to empathize with them, try to think like them, to view your website with fresh eyes. So ask yourself things like, when someone comes to this homepage, what are they looking for? Do they want to hire me as a photographer to view my prices, to view my services? Do they want to purchase stock images for me or whatever? And can they get to that information quickly, or are they overwhelmed?